Hey everybody, Ben here from DMC Films and Cinderblock Studios, and I'm starting to think I might have a problem. Okay, so to be fair, this trip to the art store wasn't as planned as a lot of my other trips were. I was at a art crawl recently, and my art manager came by with a stack of gift cards to the art store. He's like, "Hey, do you go to Blick's?" And I'm like, "Occasionally." And he goes, "What if I gave you a bunch of these? Would you go then?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I got a stack of $10 gift cards, and I was like, well, now I gotta make a trip again. But I used this opportunity to, rather than restocking things, to get a handful of things that have sort of been on my long-term wish list, and things that I probably wouldn't have picked up on a regular trip. So this was sort of like a bonus trip for me. But I was able to just kind of really play around and go. I mean, I went with a list, but I was able to kind of go around and really kind of browse and look for things that I want, but are still within my budget. Now that said, I did go over my budget a little, but you know what? Not that big a deal. So I'm going to try and make this one a little bit shorter than the last two trip I did. It's like the third trip in less than 7 months, which is a little more than I normally take. The interesting thing about this set of stuff is that I didn't get a lot of big things, I got a lot of small things, but of course that didn't help the price either, because $2-3 here and there, and then maybe like a $10 thing here and there, that adds up pretty quick. The biggest things in this box are some more Liquitex spray paint. Now, I talk about this stuff quite a bit, but I don't necessarily talk about is it good or bad. I haven't done an official review on it. Overall, it's really good paint, but the caps clog a lot, so I actually keep a big bag of spare caps all the time. And it's like, you just can't turn it upside down and clean it. I've got this cap cleaner that's good too, and it prolongs that a little bit, but still, with this, I don't use spray paint a ton, so because it sits a little bit longer, the caps don't last as long for me. But I was like, you know what? I need some black for sure, so I picked the black up, and then there was something else I was looking for that they didn't have. So I was like, well, to make up for that price point, let's get more spray paint. So I picked up some white as well, since I know my white's starting to run low. And the other two, the guy opened both sort of cabinets for me. So I was like, okay, let's just look at these colors and see which ones sort of really jump out at me. Those two colors were some Viridian Hue Permanent. This is a nice deep green color. I don't talk about Viridian because I don't own it in any of my other colors, but I figured this was a good choice then because it's so different than all my other greens. So I'm like, you know what? I'll pick up some Viridian. That's a nice color. Second one was Cad Red Deep Hue number 3. I have a Cad Red, but I think it's this guy, Cad Red Medium. So this is the one I've got. It's significantly brighter. This is more of a dark, almost a burgundy kind of color, which I really, really like. Okay, so next up we're going to dive into a lot of the smaller ones. This we have to hold off on because of this. Now, this is another Pentel pocket brush pen. You think, okay, you did your review on it, you did the update review saying that you could refill it with other types of ink, specifically dye-based India ink. Why would you get another one? Well, this is the reason. Red. I've got a couple of blank cartridges sitting over my counter. I'm going to use the spares that are in here, in my regular black one that I use on my day-to-day sketching, and I'm going to refill, or rather fill, this brand new one with red India ink. And that I am really looking forward to. Now, one thing I did in sort of the update to the review on the pen was to say I really want a white one as well, but the problem is to get white ink it has to be pigment-based. There is no white dye, at least not that I'm aware of. So I was looking around at all the sort of the white liner pens, and this one has a clicky mixing ball in here, which I was trying to find one without it. There were some gel pens, but I'm like, I don't want to do gel pens. So this one is from the same company that makes the Micron pens. This is Sakura, and this is called a Pen Touch. It's a, mixing ball pen, but it's a white liner pen. They're calling this extra fine. I'm going to see what I can do with this. Specifically, I want to use the black ink, the red ink, and this white pen on my Tone Tan sketchbook I got last time around. So trying some new things with inks. I haven't tried new things with inks in quite a while, with the exception of the pen. But between the white ink and the red ink, I'm looking forward to some new opportunities and some new experiments with these things. Now, last time around, you also may recall I picked up a woodless pencil, and I've been loving using it. So I picked up two more. The two that I picked up this time, still faber-castell pits. We've got an HB, which is your regular sketching pencil, middle-of-the-road hardness. And then I saw a 9B. This is the darkest pencil I have ever picked up. Now, I do use ebony pencils from time to time, but they're pretty much comparable to a 6B. So this is by far the darkest graphite I've ever bought, and hopefully now will ever use. I've actually found that when I'm doing my field sketching, I love using the woodless pencils, because you don't really have to sharpen them, you can just kind of keep using them and using them. So that's why I picked a couple more of these up as well. Little short bag again, as always. This thing, not really exciting. I needed some more staples for my staple gun, so I can stretch more canvas. It's just a thing, you run out eventually, pick up some staples. And the final things at the bottom of this bag, with the exception of the little brown bag, are watercolor and 2 tubes of gouache. First one, watercolor, Cerulean Blue Pure. Just kind of been looking at all my watercolors, so I'm like, you know what, I need a Cerulean. I like Cerulean, it's a really good blue, and I really want to have a Cerulean. I've got a Prussian in a tube, and I've got some old ultramarine and this weird aqua mix that I made. But I'm like, you know what, I need a good, solid Cerulean just because it's a nice, warm, clean blue. Now the other two are 2 tubes of gouache. Now if you recall from the last time I picked this stuff up that I thought was just regular whole bin gouache, but it's actually what is known as acryl gouache, which is an acrylic-based product, not actually a gum Arabic water-based product, which kind of bummed me out. I like spent all this money on the wrong stuff. Don't get me wrong, it's good. It's just not watercolor because you can't reactivate it. It works like watercolor, and then it dries, and then you can't touch it again. So I'm gonna start buying my gouache now in individual tubes so I don't make that mistake again. Also because it's a little expensive, even for a watercolor type product. So I picked up some yellow and some white as my starter tubes for these. Okay, and finally we have the little bag, which of course comes again as my ongoing pursuit to build a more complex set of chalk pastels. I bought a few more of these than I was supposed to, for 2 reasons. One, because I was like, oh, I couldn't get a couple things I wanted, so let's get other stuff I want. Let's start with a couple that I did specifically want to get, and that is I wanted 2 sticks of white. Now I have a big pack of cheaper white chalk pastels, but I wanted some nice ones, so I got a couple of Rembrandt ones. I also wanted to pick up something that was sort of a neutral gray. Now there was a lot of things that were like warm gray, cool gray. It took me a while to find the one that's just listed as gray. So this is sort of, I think it was probably like a gray number 3. That's a Rembrandt as well. Then I was just kind of looking around and thinking, alright, I want a warm blue and a sort of warm purple, because I don't have really either of those in my set. So Blick Pastels now, Phthalo Blue, a red shade number 3. So a nice sort of warm blue. It's exactly what I was going for. Also picked up, this is a Blick as well. This is reddish purple number 3. Again, kind of right where I needed it to be. It's a nice sort of reddish purple, as it says. Nice sort of middle shade. It's not too tinted up to a white, or it's not too dark to work with. Okay, next ones. This one was sitting on the shelf with all the other stuff. It said clearance $208. I'm like, okay, that's $1 off. I'm gonna pick it up. And there were a couple of different weird greens. This was the one, Sap Green 2. I found this to be the most pleasant. I don't know if I have this one or not, but I was like, you know what, I can't pass up a good clearance. And the last pastel and the last thing in this set is Olive Green number 3, another Blick pastel. I just kind of looked at everything. And I thought, okay, let's pick up one more pastel. And I just kind of looked over all the colors. I thought about it, and I was like, okay, what looks good? What don't I have? And I was like, I need more greens, I think. I don't have a lot of good, solid greens. And I saw the olive green, and I was like, yeah, this one. So I wanted to buy essentially 5 pastels. I ended up buying 7. a little bit of an excess, but I'm really excited to try out some of these new materials. So look forward to things coming up on the channel, showing some of these things off. Subscribe for more. And this has been from DMC Films and Cineblock Studios. See you guys next time. But now it's like, where do I want to put these? Probably up on my watercolors somewhere. Other side, maybe. Running out of space for all this stuff. I think that's the clear sign that I need to stop buying new things.